Hello. Welcome back to the channel. We're doing something a little bit different today. I thought it might be fun to go over what pens I, as a pen maker, like to use. A lot of people might assume that it is just pens that I make, and while it is largely the case, there are other, production pens that I actually really enjoy using. So let's just jump straight into it. I don't have a ton of pens, honestly. Part of making them is, having the ability to kind of do whatever I want. And so there's a lot of things that I see that I don't really just have like a drive to use or own or, something along those lines. So yeah, let's just kind of jump into what we've got in here. About half and half, honestly, between things that I've purchased and things that I've made. For the most part, these are all always inked. Right now, this guy is not, just because I had just cleaned it out after a little incident after dropping it. But yeah, we'll just start on the left here and move on. This is a Pilot Vanishing Point. This one is not my most used. I do really enjoy owning this one, and it is very nice to write with. But it's probably my slimmest pen that I write with any bit of consistency. If you're any bit into fountain pens, you've probably come across this guy, whether you own one or have just seen one. It's a good workhorse. I really do enjoy it. Right now, I think I have Diamine's Aurora Borealis in there, and it's just a great, solid pen. It's one of the few pens that I don't mind, like, clipping to the lapel of a t-shirt and then going and running errands. There's, no cap for you to lose, and it's just a really solid option. I have found over time that I am really enjoying sailor nibs. So I actually have 3 sailor nibs that I use. 2 of them are in the pens that they came in. I've got a 1911L ringless here as the dogs head upstairs. This is the Magellanic Clouds colorway, which is just a gorgeous deep purple with some kind of galactic sparkles in it. The black plating on the hardware is one of the touches that I really enjoy about this pen, and this is just a great little writer. This has a medium nib on it, and I do really enjoy that little bit of extra feedback that the sailors have. Next up is a King of Pen. This is the Ebonite version. This is a newer acquisition for me. I was able to get this as payment for a commission from a friend, so that's always a fun way to be able to obtain pens. I'm not usually a black pen person, but this one being the Ebonite, it's just a nice material. It feels really nice in the hand. Yes, it does have a smell to it, but I don't really mind that. It's much less pungent, just, rubbing it and smelling it, versus like actually working with it, which I have done quite a few times. So speaking of Ebonite that I've worked with, this guy here is actually probably my most used pen at the moment. This is a pen that I made back at the start of, actually the end of last year. I got this made and sent to Australia, where the Ebonite base pen was urushi lacquered. This pen here is the Sovereign of Shadows. I do have a unboxing video on the channel from when I received this, and I did not realize when I had first gotten this, and after having had it for a while, that one of the things that damages urushi lacquer is lack of moisture in the environment. And I live in Arizona, which is as you may know, famously dry environment. And so I have taken recently to making this kind of like my daily driver and what I use the most. I have a fine Sailor 21 karat nib in here off of a Pro Gear, and this setup is just fantastic. It's got a really, really nice weight to it. The balance is perfect. I love the section on here. It's a little slimmer than some of the sections on my other pens with, you know, similar size bodies and maximum thread diameters, but the coarse threads on this are something that means you have to have a little bit slimmer section overall for, you know, some of these other ones. This guy here has the same 14 millimeter diameter threads, but a much finer pitch. And so you have a wider minimum diameter to the threads. We'll get to this in a sec. But yeah, the Sovereign of Shadows here is my only urushi pen. It's my first urushi pen. And it's something that I want to use. I'm okay if this picks up some scratches or some dings, or, you know, has a little bit of a change to the finish over time. That's one of those things about urushi and some of these more natural materials that I like, that wabi-sabi, if you will, of just the little imperfections, especially ones that come from use and owning an item. Those little bits of yourself that you leave on something just kind of really resonate with me. So I really enjoy that about things like wood, the, you know, urushi here. And it's one of the reasons why on my wood pens, I do generally like to go with a more natural finish. It's not as durable as something like a CA finish, the friction polishes that I tend to use. However, they're easily refreshed, so if somebody ever purchases a wooden pen from me and notices some dulling or some splotchiness to the finish over time, I do offer at least one free refinishing with each pen purchase, and then I'm more than happy to do little spa days for folks after that first one. But if you do look closely, you can kind of see there's a little bit of, it's not damage, but there's a little bit of spots where this friction polish finish, which is basically just shellac, has, you know, dulled a little bit, and it's not quite as shiny as it once was. But the thing that I like about that finish is it gives you a really natural feel. It doesn't fill the grain of the wood, so you still feel that texture, and it's got a nice warmth to it. This pen is one that I made for myself. This one was made specifically to house the Omas Italia 90 nib that is in it. Maybe you can see. This is a semi-flex nib, I would call it. It's got a fine on it, fine point. I would say the minimum width on this guy is closer to a medium on a lot of my other pens, and this has a very, very soft nib to it. You can see that kind of flex there. This one was a little temperamental when I first got it put together, but it has been functioning very nicely since getting everything kind of tuned up. This guy takes a Con 70 converter, which most of my pens that use a piston fill original nib in, because it's one of the better converters for being able to feed a thirsty piston fill nib. Moving on, we got a couple of production pens. This is actually a beta test pen from the Thomas Slim Pen Project subreddit. This I do also have a review on the channel. I've been using this a little bit more recently, not a whole lot, but this has been a pretty solid little performer. I have been using the in-house nib from them, and it's not bad. It feels a little draggy, and I think some of that is going to be from the softer tipping material that was used on this batch of pens. They will, for their future in-house nibs, be using a standard tipping material that is standard across the industry, but at the moment they the nibs that are out there from them, just use a softer type of tipping material. It still wears just fine, but it just doesn't feel quite as smooth as one would usually prefer. So next we've got a fountain pen Revolution with an Ultraflex nib in it. This guy has been leaky, as you can see, and the flex on this is solid. However, I wouldn't call this like a good flex pen necessarily. Like, you do get great line variation out of it. This is the extra fine Ultraflex, and so the minimum line width is fantastic. Like, here, we'll pop out a piece of paper here. If you've tried these before, you know they can be great. This has, a great amount of variation between minimum and maximum widths, and it doesn't take a ton of force to get that major flex. However, these are not going to be terribly long-lasting flex nibs, and as you can see, this pen kind of has been leaking like a sieve for me. So I'm a little hesitant to recommend it as like a good flex pen. Maybe if you have a solid pen that you'd like to put one of those nibs in, not a bad idea. But yeah, it is definitely a messy pen for sure. In comparison, this is the Italia 90, and you do get plenty of flex out of this. It's not nearly as fine on those minimum strokes, but it's still plenty fine. This is a wonderful nib to use. It's not a great daily driver in my opinion. It's a little soft for that. It does take quite a bit of pressure regulation to not kind of blow through ink, and it can be a little scratchy when writing quickly because those tines flex so easily, and if you are flexed and moving in not a down direction, it can catch. But I do actually enjoy using this for quite a bit of writing throughout the week. Last but not least, or the last two, we have another couple builds of mine. This one is inky? Nope, just wet. This is a micarta build with some blue acrylic. It's got a Visconti nib in here. This is kind of a Franken nib. It is a Jowo housing with a Bach feed and a Visconti nib. It works. It's not my favorite setup. It's smooth, but the flow can be a little iffy from time to time. So this one just needs a little work periodically. One of the things that I do like and dislike about micarta is it will stain. I don't really mind it for the most part, but that's just something to be aware of for folks if they are ever looking at a micarta pen. It will stain if it's not finished with something that will basically take away that micarta texture for you. So last but not least is this guy in some cellulose acetate, which is part of the reason that this is not inked at the moment. I did have a little bit of, I dropped it the other day. Not bad, but enough to squirt ink into the cap and kind of get everywhere. And I have found with this cellulose acetate that it is hydrophilic, and it will kind of absorb water from the environment, which has been something of a bummer in that right now it's nice and smooth, but this is the smoothest it's been for a while, because when it is inked up, because currently this does not have a stepped cap design to it, there's just one diameter from the threads here up to just before the threads for the finial. So there is moisture that is able to get into this thread area as the little water cycle forms inside the cap with evaporation and condensation, and the material absorbs a little bit of that water and swells a little bit and gets a little tight. So right now it's nice and smooth, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be using this material for much other than bodies, and then having some sort of other material for threaded portions. Another option would be to make sure that I just use this for anything that's going to have a stepped inner cap, so that the section butts up against the step inside and seals the nib just up in here, making sure that no moisture gets down to the thread area. But we'll see. I'm going to get this inked back up tomorrow and hopefully not have any more issues like that. But you never know. It's a good thing that I kept this one instead of selling it. I would hate for somebody to, spend money on a pen from me and have issues like that. I don't really mind them, but I know it could bug other folks. So there are a couple of honorable mentions that I didn't actually pull out here. One is my little wallet pen, Kaweco Sport. I carry this Lockbee Sidekick with a few cards in it and a little notebook because I'm horrible at remembering things, and this is great to just literally always have on me. And then I also carry, for my kind of like EDC little guy, this just to always have something on me. Just a little Olight O Pen Mini, just a little ballpoint guy to have something always. Other than that, not a whole lot of pens in my collection. I have an Asvine C80 coming tomorrow for figuring out some dimensions for a possible commission. And then I have a V200 somewhere. There's a Lamy All-Star floating around somewhere, but these are the pens that I use, keep inked, and generally, did I get ink over there? No. And generally like to keep around. So I'll definitely be making more stuff for myself, and if you are ever interested in getting something for yourself, just reach out via the website or shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're following me, and we'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for listening while I rambled, and hopefully you saw something you liked or just were entertained for a little while. But we'll catch you next time, and have fun. Peace.